Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Margarita and today I'm here to talk to you about all the books that I read in January. I started this year off with a bang. I read, I want to say 13 books this month, which is great for me. I usually don't read that much in a month. And a lot of these were actually books on my physical TBR, so I'm really proud of myself for accomplishing so much. And let's just get into the wrap up. So the first book I'm going to talk about is After Alice by Gregory Maguire. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I found it incredibly boring, incredibly pointless, and honestly the only reason I finished this book is because I was listening to it on audiobook. That's literally the only reason. It follows Alice's friend Ada, who goes to Wonderland, I think like a couple hours after Alice, and like she's trying to find Alice and all these shenanigans. But it just wasn't really good. I just found it so boring and so pointless, and I'm very disappointed. I will not be keeping that book. I will be getting rid of it at some point. The next book that I'm going to talk about is The Beauty and the Beast by, I can't pronounce her name, but this is the original Beauty and the Beast story, and this is the beautiful illustrated edition by Minalima. I don't know, but it's interactive. It has little things that you can do, and it's really cool. This was a cute story. The story itself is really not that great, and I think it's because it's written in Old English, so it's a little boring in moments and a little hard to understand. It probably could have been a lot shorter, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I am happy to have read the original fairy tale, and that's pretty much all I have to say about that. 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I'm going to talk about I got off of Libby, and that is And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness. I also gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It's not as good as When a Monster Calls, but it is still pretty good. It's basically the story of Moby Dick, but told from the whale's perspective, which is interesting. I found the ending a little bit confusing and how the world works a little bit weird, but for the most part I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. Not as great as I was hoping, but the illustrations, those were on point. They were stunning. I absolutely loved it. The next book I'm going to talk about is Forgotten Country by Catherine Chung. This is one of the books from my TBR jar, and I really enjoyed the first half of this book, and the last half I just did not really care. So I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It basically follows this Korean family, and there are these 2 sisters, Janie and Hannah. And Janie is like the dutiful older daughter who's always doing what needs to be done. She's always there for her family. And Hannah is the younger sister, and one day she just disappears out of their family's life. Like completely disappears. She moves out, she changes her phone number, there's no way to get a hold of her. And it's the dynamic that happens between the family because of that. And Janie trying to cope with, you know, all the resentment she feels for her sister for just abandoning them, and her father gets sick, and I could really relate to the sibling feelings of abandonment and like, how could you do this and all that stuff. Like I could really relate to that, and there was a lot more of that in the very beginning of the book, and I really appreciated that. I thought it was really great. But towards the end of the book, I kind of lost interest, which is why I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was going to be higher, but the ending just kind of was like, meh, okay. So there's that. The next book that I'm going to talk about, I have so many conflicting feelings about, and that is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And everybody seems to love this book. This is a historical fiction romance story where our main character, Claire, goes back in time and she meets Jamie and they fall in love and all these things, but she's still married in her time, and it's all this stuff. First and foremost, well, let me tell you what I gave this. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars because I have so many conflicting feelings about it. First and foremost, this book is way too long. There were things at the end of the book that they would bring up about something that happened in the very beginning, but I forgot that it even happened because this book is so long. It's almost 800 pages. There's no reason for this book to be that long. I'm just gonna say it. It might be an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. Also, one thing that I really makes me uncomfortable about this book is the rape and the amount of almost rapes and talking about rape and rapes that happen. It just makes me really uncomfortable. I don't like it. I can deal with rape once or twice, but for it to have happened 6 or 7 times throughout this book, to people to be almost raped, or it just, and the whole like conversation about rape was just weird, especially the one in the end where it's like, oh, if you do this and this, everything will be fine, it won't even matter. It's like, that's not how, like, I have a lot of conflicting feelings about this series. I really liked the love story between between Jamie and Claire, but like there were so many other things that I kind of was like, meh, whatever. So I might continue on with this series. I'll probably get them from the library though. I'm not really fully committed to this series, but there were a lot of things I liked. There were also a lot of things I did not like, so I'm very conflicted. Let me know your opinions. Does the series get better? Is there less rape involved? Because please, I can't deal with all of that rape. The next couple books I'm going to talk about, I also got from the library, so I don't have physical copies of. The first one is Giant Days Volume 1 by John Allison. And this book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It's a graphic novel. It follows 3 girls in college and the shenanigans that they get into. It was really cute. I enjoyed it. I'll probably continue on with the series. The next book I'm going to talk about is Fox 8 by George Sanders. I also gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It's super cute. It's basically a fox who writes a letter to humans asking why we are the way we are and telling his story and stuff like that. It was really cute. Thought-provoking, definitely. I highly recommend it. It's super short, so it'll take you not even a day to read. So I would recommend it. I thought it was good. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I have is Ayetti by Roxane Gay. I also gave this 4 out of 5 stars. It's, I believe, kind of like a short story collection about all these different stories of people from Haiti. They're all fiction, they're not nonfiction, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Not much more to say than that. I really like Roxane Gay's writing. I want to read more of her work. So when I saw this at the library and I saw how short it was, I decided to pick it up. Alright, so the next book I'm going to talk about, I listened to as an audiobook, and that is Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies I've Loved by Kate Bowler. And this basically is about Kate, who gets, I think it's stage 4 colon cancer, and she's trying to deal with that and, you know, live her life with that. And she believes in the prosperity gospel where, you know, everything happens for a reason, and she's trying to deal with all these people in her life that also follow the prosperity gospel, telling her, well, it must be because you're not faithful enough, or because you're not this, or, you know, good things will happen to you if you do this or that, or, so it was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. There were some really good points in it. So 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this was pretty good. The next book that I'm going to talk about is My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George. And this is a book that my friend Sarah, it's like her favorite book when she was growing up, and she's like, you have to read it, you have to read it. So I finally decided to pick it up, and this is a really cute story. It basically follows Sam, who decides that he's going to run away from home and he's going to go live in the mountains where his grandfather or his great-grandfather lived, and he's going to live off of the land. He's going to essentially have the most epic camping trip of his life, and that's going to be his life. And so he goes off and he meets all these people on his way, trying to figure out where this land is. And he learns how to survive in the mountains, and he lives in a tree, and he has a hawk, and it's like, it's so wholesome and so cute, and it's just, I really liked it. 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend it. Thank you for telling me to read it, Sarah. I definitely enjoyed it. The next book I'm going to talk about is Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers. This is the last book in the Wayfarer series, and this one follows the Exodans. the Exodus fleet, excuse me. So these are the people from Earth who decided to get on spaceships and leave and to travel space instead of settling on a planet like Mars or something. And it follows the stories of those people living on these ships hundreds of years later and how their lives have changed and what they find important and the different jobs and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people think it's boring because there's not really a plot to it. It's mostly just following these people's lives. But I really enjoyed it. I found it really wholesome. I really liked it. 4 out of 5 stars. I love Becky Chambers. This is such a great series, and I'm definitely going to reread it for years to come. I adore it. So good. I'm really sad that more people didn't like this, but I really liked it. 4 out of 5 stars. I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. We're almost done. I only have 2 more books to talk about, and I almost dropped it. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Identical, and this is by Ellen Hopkins. This was my reread for the month, and 5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time, and it was very interesting for me to see all the different ways the author hints at the ending without, you know, now that I know how it ends, all the different ways that she hints at it that I never got the first time I read it. And I really enjoy Ellen Hopkins. I think her work is great. So this is a really, really fucked up book. I really don't recommend this for a lot of people if, like, there are just so many trigger warnings. There's, you know, abuse, there's almost rape in it, there is, what is the word? Incest. I mean, it's fucked up. But I really enjoyed it. So 5 out of 5 stars. Enjoyed that reread, and I'm excited to be rereading books this year. I've really missed it. And last but not least, the top book that I read this month was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It is so good. There was nothing about this book that I did not like, and I loved the ending, and let me just, it's so good. So basically, this is a very loose Rumpelstiltskin retelling. And it follows 3 main characters, Miriam, Wanda, and what's the other one's name? I can't remember her name. But, so it mostly follows, it centers around Miriam in the very beginning. And Miriam is a Jewish girl who is the daughter of a moneylender who's not very good at his job. So their family is very, very poor, because he refuses to get the money from people that he's lent money to. So she takes it upon herself to go out and to get what is owed to her family because her mom is very sick. So she starts to be known as someone who can change silver to gold, essentially. She builds this name for herself. So the Starrick, which are these elfin fairy lord type things that are in charge, that, you know, rule winter, she catches the eye of the Starrick king. And so that's how the whole story starts. And Wanda is a girl that Miriam helps. And she gets roped into the whole story. And it also, what is her name? Anyway, so the other girl's name, which I can't remember for the life of me, she has to deal with a demon at some point. And it's how all of those stories get interwoven and how all of these little pieces come into play in the end. And it was so good. And I highly recommend it. And it was just so wonderful. And I can't tell you how much I loved it. I'm so glad that I have this book and that I read it. And I want to reread it already, but I'm not going to. But definitely highly, highly, highly recommend. It was, in my opinion, it's better than Uprooted, which might be an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. So there you go. So those are all of the books that I read in January. Thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, your thoughts and opinions on these books. If you disagree with some of my thoughts and opinions, I would love to know why. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!